2 weeks ago, I started my sermon by saying that you know when you have an unbalanced tire on your car because you can feel it. Your car shakes, the steering wheel shakes. You know something's wrong because you can feel it. And then I went on to say that the same is true of our lives. We know things are wrong because we can feel it. I ended up giving you a bunch of questions to ask yourself and a bunch of situations to think about that may determine whether you needed to make some changes in your life. And lots of people came to me and said, yeah, I needed that. I really do need to make some changes. Last week then I came back and said, here's the good news. You're not alone in making those changes. In fact, you can't even make them on your own. You need some spiritual help, and God is willing to help. In fact, that's his offer, that he is going to help us change if we let him. So that first sermon was called Balancing Your Unbalanced Life, and the second sermon was called Keeping the Good in the Good News. And both of those are on this channel. If you haven't seen them, you may want to go watch them. This week, we continue that theme. We continue talking about changing, and we talk about, this week, one factor that will determine how well that change actually works. In fact, I'm not even going to hide the factor from you. I'm going to tell you what it is right in the title of the sermon. The sermon is called A Receptive Heart. The key thing in this sermon is not telling you that you need a receptive heart, but the key is going to be showing you how important that actually is, what a huge difference it actually makes, and how then to get to that point as well. We're going to talk about the need for a receptive heart. And we're just going to continue doing this as we talk about following Jesus for the next few weeks and months. We are going to go through the book of Mark and look at what it looks like to follow Jesus. Then we're going to go to the book of Acts and see what the early church said it looks like to follow Jesus. Because if we can get that part right, if we can follow Jesus more closely, it'll solve a lot of other issues. We don't do it alone. We have help, but we've got to put ourselves in a place to be blessed. The sermon, once again, is called A Receptive Heart, One Key That Changes Everything. If you're coming to Bible study, and if you've come to Bible study at all over the years, you have heard me say this, that if you do not understand the overall picture of Scripture, if you don't understand the big story of Scripture, it's going to be very hard to understand the little stories contained within Scripture. And that's really true this week. This week we are in 2 Kings chapter 17. Something happens in 2 Kings chapter 17 that is unthinkable to the people of God. It's just catastrophic. The problem is that when we read chapter 17 on its own, we don't understand that because we lose the context. If we just read it by itself, it has to be put in the historical context so we understand exactly how devastating this event actually is. So this week, we are going to do a bit of a history lesson. We're going to start from the start of the Bible, tell the entire story of the Bible in short form, and then we are going to talk about why 2 Kings 17 is so important and why it mattered so much and why it still teaches us so much today. Again, too, we are still doing lunches, so bring sandwiches, soups, chips, veggies, desserts, whatever you want to bring. Bring enough for your family. Bring enough for another family to eat, and so we can invite people to stay. By the way, my mom's coming this weekend, so you got to be nice to me. See you Sunday.